Let's see what Joe Rogan has to say about the Trump assassination attempt. Let's check it out.
Joe Rogan experience.
Speaking of which,
dude,
how about that?
Let me say, if you can't condemn this as an attack on democracy, if you can't condemn the Trump assassination attempt as an attack on democracy and as an attack on the United States in general, then you are part of the problem. Just like January 6th should be condemned and looked down upon, the people who did January 6th should not be pardoned. They're criminals in that that was a blatant attack on democracy. The same as this. It's no different than this. They're both blatant attacks on. You don't know. Okay, so January 6th was the basically it was an insurrection at the Capitol building. So I'll show you. This was January 6th. It was when Trump was in office. The people on Trump's side tried to attack the Capitol building. So they didn't try to attack it. They went inside the Oval Office and put their feet up on the desk like this. Like they literally, it was an attack. It was an insurrection, and it was they're criminals. They should all be arrested. Yeah, like this was when Trump was leaving office, and then they attacked the January 6, 2021. The United States Capitol building in Washington, D.C. was attacked by a mob of supporters of then U.S. President Donald Trump 2 months after his defeat in the 2020 presidential election. And if you can't condemn this as an attack on democracy, this is a blatant attack on American democracy. The same as this. The same as this. This is also an attack on American democracy. On democracy in general. Which, America's not even a democracy. We're a republic. We're a democratic, or we're a representative democracy. We're not a pure democracy. A pure democracy would be you put your vote in and everybody's vote counts, but we elect officials to do that for us. So we're not really we're a representative democracy. We're not a pure democracy. We're more of a republic.
Officials believe that is crooks walking near the rally.
Both of these are attacks on democracy. They're period. If you can't condemn, if the left can't condemn the assassination of Trump as the assassination attempt of Trump as an attack on democracy, then they're the problem. If the far right and the far left can't, and if the far right can't condemn January 6th, or if the right can't condemn January 6th as an attack on democracy, then they're part of the problem. Both sides are so fucking irritating, bro. Like, it doesn't take a genius to see that both those things are bad. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't take a genius to see that both of these things are bad. But it's like Destiny. I don't know if y'all saw this, but you know the streamer Destiny, the political streamer. Look what he said. Like, this is sickening, bro. This is sickening. This is absolutely sickening.
I wish that there is no room. There is no room. It's not about behaving like the people who
are people who do
to ask for sympathy.
And yet it in you to chastise people who do that. Aren't you just as what Destiny has said about that very thing?
Because he was defending his wife and daughter. I would hope that you have
check
a
this
little
out.
empathy.
This is sickening. This is sickening. Right here. Listen to this.
Fuck it. Fuck the dude. The firefighter guy.
The firefighter died at the Trump rally. The shooter missed and hit the firefighter. They're saying he was protecting his family. I don't know if he would have had time to jump in front of a bullet. If he was covering up his family and got shot, then yeah, he was protecting his family. I don't know the truth behind that.
Fuck
but,
Trump. Fuck
either way, a firefighter was killed. Terrible thing. It should be condemned, you know.
Support him.
But he said, fuck the firefighter that got killed. Fuck the... Listen to what he says.
The firefighter guy. Fuck Trump.
It's sickening.
Fuck the people that support him.
It's sickening.
I just want you to know, okay? Just in case you're
Fuck the
confused,
people that support Trump. Like, bro, you're part of the
It sounds like
problem.
I'm-
If you don't see
you
that
know,
you're part of the
whatever.
problem, you're an
if
idiot.
one of you were in the crowd and you're a conservative fan of mine and you end up, getting blown away or whatever the fuck, I'm making fun of you the next day on Twitter.
See, that's a problem. If you're a conservative fan of mine and you're in the crowd at a Trump rally and get shot, then I'm making fun of you. Are you fucking that insane, bro? Are you really that insane? Like, think about what you're saying, dude. Like, everybody that supports Trump is not a bad person. Just like everyone that supports Biden isn't a bad person. There's good and bad on both sides. You know what I mean? There's idiots, there's racist on the right. Yes, there's idiots and racist on the far right. But the majority of people that support Trump are just normal people, man. Like, they're not all part of this MAGA cult, you know? They just pick the lesser of what they believe to be the two evils. They're not idiots for thinking different than you. The same as the left. If you support Biden, and I don't know who I think they're both terrible representatives of us. I think they're both terrible choices. I'm very much a centrist, but like, independent, registered independent since I was 18. But I think obviously there's pros and cons to both from an economic standpoint, from a immigration policy standpoint. Trump obviously was better, and then as far as the debt deficit goes, Trump well overspent. He overspent too much. Biden overspends, but he has some of the more moral policies that I agree with. For example, I believe abortion should be legal for the first trimester, then illegal the rest of the time unless it's a medical situation. Up until 22 weeks, I think, is when the spinal cord connects to the brain and it starts feeling pain and it develops a consciousness and all that. So somewhere between 20 and 28 weeks, that should be the cutoff, because people are going to get abortions regardless. But regardless of that, they're both terrible representatives of us, and there's good and bad on both sides. Like, it's okay to say you're wrong about this and you're wrong about this, but I have to pick one side because that's our only options. You know what I mean? Like, it's okay to, like, and most people, I feel like the silent majority that support Trump and Biden are just normal people. But the far right thinks the far left, and Destiny did a stream the other day where he described what I'm talking about perfectly. I actually want to pull that up. Destiny described what I was talking about perfectly, right? Where was it? Like, the divide is because the far left has been barking this rhetoric for so long. The people in the middle have barked this rhetoric for so long, and the far right has been on this rhetoric for so long, and they end up attacking each other because of it. And I'll show you this video if I can find it. Hold on. Right here it was, I think.
Man, this is
historians of fascism, and he would say Trump's not a fascist. He doesn't meet the definition of fascism. Guess what he said on
right here.
say also, and this goes into what I was complaining about.
He
before,
described it pretty well right here, and I'm not after watching what he said on Piers Morgan. I can't stand Destiny. I think he's a sick human being, and I think he's still there. I mean, there's still points I agree with on him, even though he's a sick human being. I agree with him on some points. Just because I don't like him as a human being anymore, I supported Destiny up until he said that. I think that's an insane way of thinking. I don't follow him anymore. I unsubscribed. I will not give Destiny any fucking support. I will not like his videos. I'll never give him support again. But that don't mean I still don't agree with some of what he says. I still agree with some of what he says.
Stuff.
And like
And
what
I'm
he says
complaining
right
about this a
here
lot.
is pretty,
Really, even outside of
pretty good, other than him saying he's always been in the middle. He has not always been in the middle. He has barked anti-right stuff for a very long time, and he very, very rarely barks any anti-left stuff. So for him to say he's in the center is just bullshit. So ignore that
let's
part.
Assume
But
that the actions that somebody's taking.
no,
like
he's
how
definitely
bad are
not
the
middle.
actions?
He's definitely not
Let's
middle.
say that we put the
like
actions
he's
in red.
full of shit saying.
Okay.
Okay, he's
These are
talking
the
about
bad
Trump's
actions that somebody's
actions
taking,
right here.
All right. Now let's put what I would argue is far left or progressive rhetoric.
And he makes a good point right here.
We're gonna put that at orange. Okay.
These people are the problem. In the far right rhetoric, which will be down here.
And then let's say that our rhetoric is at let's say that also, by the way, you're seeing this happen right now in real time. Let's say that our rhetoric is blue, okay?
This is him defending what he said about the firefighter and Trump.
So you have a guy who's taking, kind of bad actions, and you try to make your rhetoric match the actions, okay?
Rhetoric is the way you speak about someone. Like him saying, fuck the firefighter. That's very poor rhetoric. That's rhetoric that should not be repeated, no matter the situation. You should never speak that kind of rhetoric. Rhetoric is the way you talk about something. So let's just pull up a definition of it to be more accurate. Rhetoric is the art of effective or persuasive speaking or writing, especially the use of figures of speech and other compositional techniques. So for him to say, fuck the firefighter, if you go to a Trump rally and do that, I'll and get shot, I'll laugh at you the next day, or I'll make fun of you on Twitter the next day. That is very hateful rhetoric, and that is a problem. Like, whether he meant what he said or not, to say that, some people are going to take it seriously. You know what I mean? And that's a problem. You shouldn't speak that rhetoric, and the far right shouldn't be speaking the rhetoric they speak either. They've had bad rhetoric for a long time too. These lines up here are the problem. If he was really in this middle line right here, that was
maybe you exaggerate like a little bit, but ideally,
no, you have been up here the whole time. Do not say that you have been matching the rhetoric of what Trump's at. Your rhetoric has not matched Trump's actions. Like, you've all of the far left have exaggerated Trump, just like the far right have exaggerated Biden. Like, that's just how it is. I don't care what anybody says. This
is like the ideal. The issue that you run
into
are
not
is
this
when you're
line.
criticizing,
He says he's
so
this blue
let's say
line.
that the red is
his rhetoric matches his Trump's behavior. No, that's not true.
We'll say that the blue is we'll say it's Destiny's criticisms, and let's say that the orange is we'll call this the far left. Okay. So remember a long time ago when people like Bush
he's
were
blind
saying
to what he's doing. He really is.
Transgenocide, over and over and over again.
Yeah,
okay?
the far left. He's talking about when the far left was saying that the far right was going to have a genocide and all that shit.
Or people like Brown and Joy Gray, or it was a girl.
And I think he brings up Tim Cook, but he's basically talking about all of the far right. And Tim Cook does have very hateful rhetoric. He does.
We're saying things like, "Oh, you think that trans rights are bad in Palestine?"
A lot of the far right has very hateful rhetoric. It's a problem on both sides. That's what people don't understand. Like And he paints it out. He paints it out pretty well here. He really does. He does a great job of laying out the problem here.
Turned the rhetoric up this high. There's a couple issues that happen. One is, if we're the blue guy, if we go out and we argue, well, lefties are going to attack us because lefties are saying, "Hey, look at the distance between what you're saying and what I'm saying." Okay.
And I feel like this is more. I'm more on this blue line than he is. I would say this blue line is my rhetoric because I try to match the action. I don't exaggerate either of their fucking shortcomings or their good things, like
giving cover to this guy.
I think
you're not calling
it would be, but rather than calling this Destiny, we should call this centrist. We should call this centrist.
Israel for being genocidal. You're not calling out the Republicans for wanting to genocide trans people. You're not calling out the Republicans for trying to be white supremacists, for cops for wanting to kill all black people. Well, look at you, right? So now you've got to fight with the left, which is annoying. But then it's also annoying now because when you fight with the right, all you can do is you can either say, "Hey, listen," okay? Because when you fight with the right, they're going to say, "Well, look at what you're saying." Well, you got to hold on. I'm not saying that. I don't say that stuff, okay? I don't say this stuff. So you've got to disavow everything that the left is saying. So you're disavowing that. Then you're trying to give your position.
As you should.
But in reality, right?
And as you should disavow the far right, what the far right's saying too. Form your own fucking opinions on this shit. And Destiny does form his own opinions. I'll give him that. And he makes some solid, great points. Destiny's an intelligent dude. He is. But the rhetoric he spewed on that show was just fucking terrible, dude. It's not okay. Even if the far left and far right have spewed this hateful rhetoric, and you're like, well, now it's time that I spew it too to match them or get back at them. That's not the way to handle it. You're supposed to rise above the bad and be better. Like, if your side and your point of view is that much better, then prove it. Rise above that. You know what I mean? and don't spew the same hateful rhetoric that they're spewing, you know, just to get back at
criticism is
them
down
or
here.
match
It's more
them, you
accurately
know.
mapped on. And then the person you're talking to, we'll say like a Tim Pool. Let's say that their criticisms are like
Tim Pool, not
here.
Tim Cook. I
Okay?
apologize.
They view you.
Yeah, you can call it this. He called this Tim Pool. You can just imagine that this is far right rhetoric. This is far left rhetoric.
As being closer
And this
to
is
them
centrist.
than
And this is Trump or what Trump's actions. And this is the centrist rhetoric trying to match Trump's actions and sometimes exaggerating. Where it goes above right here is he's basically saying this is where we may exaggerate Trump's actions a little bit, saying, oh, well, he planned the insurrection. That might be an exaggeration because we don't know if it's true, you know.
and the far left. So they view you as an ally. They use you to attack this position over here, while you have like some criticisms that go, well, he's a little bit more anti-Trump than I'd like, but he's fair, right? That's what they mean, and that's what they say. So this is like the area that I've kind of lived in for a while, where I'm trying to mount my criticism on directly, but now I have to fight at the left because these guys are fucking insane. And then when I go on to conservative shows, they're like, oh, Destiny's a reasonable guy because my...
You were the chosen one. You were supposed to end them, not join them. Bring balance to the force.
Piers be closer to them.
Not something in darkness.
Even though I am very critical of their candidate, but
Not
I'm not
leave
as
it
crazy
in
as the far left.
darkness.
But then what happens
shit.
But the problem is that you were on the bottom and then jumped up to where Trump is, so they whiplash. That is not true. That is absolutely not true. You are delusional if you think that. Well, you're not delusional. You're just retarded if you think that. I've always been critical. The problem is that now, and this is where we've hit, I think, this point, okay, where my rhetoric is actually getting very, very close now, or in some cases it's crossed over to where Vosh and Hassan were, okay? Now these guys are saying, oh, look, Destiny's shown his true colors, that's what Tim Pool said, to pretend that I've always been this line, because now we do seem to be closer. So now you've got the conservatives, and this is why you're seeing the flip right now. The conservatives are like,
And see,
look.
he makes a good point saying, okay, I did try to match it, and now it's got to the point I'm here. But that's no excuse, bro. There's no excuse to say what you said. I'm sorry. No matter how you try to defend yourself, oh, but it is this bad. It's not that bad, dude. For you to say not condemn that, it's never that.
They've
like
shown their true colors.
it's
Destiny's always been like this. He's
crazy.
Always like, no, hold on. I've been following
like this line
the whole-
right here has been calling Trump Hitler for the past 10 years. Like that's the truth of it. And this side right here has been calling Biden a communist for the past 10 years. Like, come on, dude. Neither of those are fucking true. What the fuck?
time. You guys have just gotten progressively more insane. Okay. I'll call this like Tim Pool or like centrist or whatever.
And see, this is where the problem lies. He says you guys have got this insane. He thinks his rhetoric matches Trump's behavior at this point. Like, dude, he hasn't got any more insane. Like it like, okay, I think what scares everyone on the left right now is Project 2025, which I don't think will ever happen. I just don't. But
really. And then you're seeing people like
I don't
Vosh
know
and Hassan,
enough
everybody
about
who are
Project
like, oh, wow,
2025 to
or, I
speak
don't know
on
if
it.
Hassan's
I'd have
but
to
like
watch a
Vosh,
video
Yeah,
on it.
Destiny's like really on point now.
I
And
know
like,
it's
okay,
got
well,
something to do with. I don't know. I'd have to watch a
and
video
some of these
on
people
it.
are like, oh, well, now you're finally realizing. No, hold on. No. I'm not finally realizing. Okay. My rhetoric has, in my opinion at least, I've tried to keep it pretty close the entire time to where the
And for the most part, he had kept it. All right. If I had to say his rhetoric, it's much worse than Trump's behavior. I think it's been like more in this area, right between, like in the middle. This would be the blue line in reality. Destiny can't give an honest opinion on himself. It's going to be biased. I think his rhetoric has been in this area, like right in between the hateful left and Trump's actual behavior. I think it's been like right here. If he was being fair, it would be more like this line. This is like I would say this is more like the people, the centrist. I would say this is the centrist, honestly. And then the right, the silent majority of the right is kind of in the middle right here, you know. And then this is the far right and this is the far left.
actions of the administration have been. And I've said over and over and over again, Pisco kind of brought this up as an argument against me, but I feel like it worked as an argument in favor of me. Pisco was like, well, hey, remember, you didn't want to say originally that it was an insurrection. And I was like, no, I didn't. That's right. But my mind slowly changed as more information came out, right? Like, for instance, with J6 and insurrection, it kind of seemed like a bunch of protesters there that were rioting. Like, I feel like there needs to be some coordination for it. Okay, well, eventually the indictments came out for the Proud Boys. Like, okay, well, fine, there were a few guys there. That pushes me a little bit more. Then more information came out that at least 5% of the people there were with organized groups. Like, okay, that was enough to move me over into the insurrection camp. And where it seems like Trump was trying to, like, coordinate. So I was like, oh,
Trump
okay.
was not trying to. I do not believe it. In any way, Trump was kind of trying to coordinate something. I just don't. I'm not that.
Now
I'm
fully
not that. I just don't believe that.
But my rhetoric the whole time is trying to match like what I think is about going
January
on.
6th. What was? I'm sorry. It was an insurrection, but Trump didn't plan it. It was an insurrection, but Trump had nothing to do with it. I do not believe Trump had anything to do with it.
Because the left yanked this chain
Did Trump spew some stuff that may have accidentally turned some people to it? He may have on accident, but did he purposely do that? No. I do not believe he purposely tried to start a government insurrection. I do not believe that. Not for one second.
I'm always fighting them, so them, okay? And I heard Vosh gave a very nice coverage of my recent fighting. Vosh, you're just as bad. You're just as bad. If the Republic fails and dies because of these conservative insurrectionists supporting treasonous, anti-American, anti-patriotic, foreigner terrorists, okay, that are more of a threat to this country than any Mexican, Venezuelan, or Muslim immigrant.
See, that I just don't think it's as bad as he's saying right now. I just don't,
could ever
bro.
dream of being.
He's
okay?
not that. He's not fucking. He's not fucking trying to tear America apart, man. I mean,
the Republic
Jesus,
dies
he's a
to do that,
divisive
they're just-
man, but he's not a fucking insurrectionist trying to take down the U.S., like take over the U.S. and be a dictator. Like, come
just
on,
responsible.
bro. Like,
Okay?
come
You're
on, be
just as
realistic.
responsible. Because the entire time you refused to give a reasonable critique, and while I'm sitting here fighting all of these conservatives, I have to disavow every single thing that my side says constantly because you guys can only live up here. You can only live up here. There is no reasonable critique to be made.
See, that's
conservatives.
true. He makes a good point though. The far left doesn't make a reasonable critique, but there's sometimes that he like, bro.
They're always genocidal. They're always
But he's
white supremacist.
now on that line. He is overlapping. He is, like he said, he's right here right now. So how does that make him any better? You know, like, you couldn't beat him, so you joined him. Like,
They're
come
always
on, bro.
pro-apartheid. They're always doing, and it's like the most thing ever. It's the most everything ever. It's always the most. It's always the highest term, the worst thing you could say. It's always a genocide. It's always a whatever. And now, because now we're here. I think we're here now, or we've passed here. Trump is a fascist, and he is imbuing institutions with the power to enable his fascism. And now we're starting to get a series of Supreme Court rulings that look a lot like fascism. And if I say that, now I have the impression of always being along this line. But I'm not. I've never been along this line. I've
But
always
you are
avoided
now.
being on this line. And
But you are now. It don't matter if you wasn't before. You are now.
And
like,
also,
you've
here's another
become
thing,
part of
too.
the problem. You saying that, I don't think Trump is trying to take over and be a fucking fascist dictator. I just don't. And even if he did, I don't think our checks and balances would allow something like that to happen. Because I have faith in the people that they would not allow that to happen. You know, like,
okay.
even if worse came to worse, you know, like, we have the right to form a militia and stop that from happening. Like, that's written in the Constitution. Like I said, I don't think it'll ever get to that because I don't think Trump's that bad, you know.
Like building up credibility and stuff. Credibility.
He's bad. He's bad, but he's not this line bad, you know. And Tim and like I said, and Biden is not this line bad. They're just not.
Built painstakingly, and with the.
But you get the point of what I was laying out here. Let's continue. This
President.
Secret Service person was like, it's policy that they have to wait until the first shot's made, and they need to change that fucking policy if that's the case.
If it was in a movie,
But he was like, well, you don't want to shoot someone that in a window that has a telescope. Dude, if you're dumb enough to use a telescope to look from a balcony or a roof, you pushes what the media wants to push. Like, I'm sure there's and there's powerful people that are either on the right or the left that are behind each news station, but like, they push what they want to push when it comes down to it. What their owners want them to push.
I mean,
And if they're all anti-Trump, then they're going to push anti-Trump rhetoric.
You're voting for a guy who isn't doing much.
And Trump is he's not had the best idea for Medicare, but it didn't work well when put into action. I think Obama was a great president. I really do. I think Obama killed it as a president. His fucking immigration laws, his free trade, his advocacy for free trade, everything he did, like the unity stuff, the excellent speaking. Obama was a great president. Well, I was looking at something the other day. Hold on, what was it? This is what I was talking about. So, like, you see jobs under Obama, how they climbed at a steady rate. With Trump, up until COVID, everything dropped off. Trump was going up at a steady rate. Oh, I'm telling you, Obama was a great president. I don't care what anyone says. Unemployment was nearly at its lowest since Clinton with Obama. It was dropping at a rapid rate with Trump until COVID hit. Like, none of these people are as bad as what they're pointed out to be. And, of course, Biden's not listed here. But none of, like, let's see. Trump's median income soared. Let's see. And that's because he raised the deficit, of course. But still, it is what it is. Everything is so exaggerated by the far right and far left. Home prices. Of course, I think it was during the 2008 was been when Obama was in, right? So the recession, home prices probably went up quite a bit during that, I would guess. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, you can't tell me Obama wasn't a good president looking at all these. But, of course, this is a CNN business website, so obviously it's going to lean left. But still, like, you can see where I think these are statistics, so they have to be pretty close. And, like, you can see during COVID, that's when everything went bad with Trump, of course. But, like, I still think Obama was just fucking a great president. I'll never think he wasn't. He overspent. They all overspent. Crazy, bro. People that prominent. It feels like a fucking simulation, but either way, it's crazy. But no, I'll get off the political shit for now.